In this ASMR episode, I will read The Giraffe and the Pelly and Me from Roald Dahl. ASMR Katz. Hey you! Thank you for checking out this video clip. My name is ASMR Katz. Even when you don't see it directly, I am a heavily tattooed girl who goes with you on the adventure of ASMR sound. I like to read books, but I also do a lot of other stuff. Everything about the topic ASMR you will find here. Doesn't matter if it's mukbang videos, if it's just the pure satisfaction of sound, or reading a book. This time I read The Giraffe and the Pelly and Me, and this is one of a big collection from Roald Dahl. And this big collection stands here not just for decoration, it stands here because I will read every book of it. I already start with a few, and now it just gets more. When you ask yourself why I have so many clothes on, it is ridiculous cold right now. I think also I get a little bit sick. So when I'm like sneezing or yawning, it have nothing to do with anything at all. It just have to do because I think I get a little bit sick. But I hope that this little ASMR session helps me to keep new focus and strength, and that I maybe get healthy instead of sick. If you like what you see, feel free to follow, feel free to subscribe, feel free to click on the notification bell and let a comment here, because with every support of yours, I have the opportunity to let my heart projects grow. So when you already like this, then feel free to check out all the heart projects I have to offer. You find them in the comment section directly under this video. No, it not means comment section, it is a description. Link in the description, exactly. When you ask yourself why I have headphones on, I wear my headphones because this is a high quality recording, and that means that when you put your headphones in your ear as well, you can enjoy the crystal clear sound. And therefore, everything is here. It's not decoration. It have actually a reason to be here. So let us start. I hope you sit well. I hope you are relaxed. I hope you are now just in this moment and just listen to my voice and enjoy this little ASMR session. The book is written by Roald Dahl and the illustrations are by Quentin Blake. Introduce Billy, the giraffe, the pelly, the duck of Hampshire, and the monkey. I actually have to say, I hope I pronounce it right. Giraffe. Giraffe? I actually have no clue. English is not my mother language, so I can't deny my roots. And in my language, giraffe is giraffe. So I actually don't know if giraffe is right or wrong. It would be better when I Google before how I get pronounced giraffe, but maybe it's also funny. Maybe it sounds just weird. Giraffe. Giraffe, but yeah. It is what it is right now. I'm not afraid to go the walk of shame when I say giraffe the wrong way. This book is for Naisha, Charlotte, and Lorena. Not far from where I live, there is a queer old empty wooden house, standing all by itself on the side of the road. I long to explore inside it, but the door is always locked. And when I peer through a window, all I can see is the darkness and dust. I know the ground floor used once to be a shop, because I can still read the faded lettering across the front, which says the Grubber. My mother has told me that in our part of the country in the olden days, a Grubber was another name for a sweet shop. And now, every time I look at it, I think to myself, what a lovely old sweet shop it must have been. On the shop windows itself, somebody has painted in white the words for sale. One morning, I noticed that for sale had been scratched off the shop window, and in its place somebody had painted sold. I stood there staring at the new writing and wishing like mad that I had been me who had bought it, because then I would have been able to make it into the Grubber all over again. I have always longed and longed to own a sweet shop. The sweet shop of my dreams would be loaded from top to bottom with shepherd suckers and caramel fudge, in Russian toffee and sugar snorters and butter gumballs and thousands of other glorious things like that. Oh boy, what I couldn't have done with that old Grubber shop if it had been mine. On my next visit to the Grubber, I was standing across the road gazing at the wonderful old building when suddenly an enormous bathtub came sailing out through one of the second floor windows and crashed right in the middle of the road. A few months later, a white porcelain lavatory pan with a wooden seat still on it came flying out of the same window and landed with a wonderful splintering crash just beside the bath tube. This was followed by a kitchen sink and an empty canary and a 4-poster bed and 2 hot water bottles and a rocking horse and a sewing machine and goodness knows what else besides. It looked as tough some madman was ripping out the whole of the inside of the house, because no piece of staircase and a bit of the banister and a whole lot of old floorboards came whistling through the windows. Then were silence. I waited and waited, but nothing. Another sound came from within the building. I crossed the road and stood right under the windows and called out, "Is anybody home?" There was no answer. In the end, it began to get dark, so I had to turn away and start walking home. But you can bet your life nothing was going to stop me from hurrying back there again tomorrow morning to see what the next surprise was going to be. When I got back to the Grubber house the next morning, the first thing I noticed was the new door. The dirty old brown door had been taken out and in its place somehow had fitted a brand new red one. The new door was fantastic. It was twice as high as the other and had been ridiculous. It couldn't begin to imagine who would want a tremendous tall door like that in a house unless it was a giant. As well as this, somebody had scraped away the solid notice on the shop window, and now there was a whole lot of different writing all over the glass. I stood there reading it and trying to figure out what on earth it all meant. The Ladderless Window Cleaning Company. Get your windows cleaned without a lot of dirty ladders leaning against your house. I tried to catch some sign or sound of movement inside the house, but there was none. Until all of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, I noticed that one of the windows on the top floor was slowly beginning to open outwards. Then a head appeared at the open window. I stared at the head. The head started back at me with big, round, dark eyes. Suddenly, a second window was flung wide open, and of all the crazy things, a gigantic white bird hopped out and perched on the windowsill. I knew what this one was because of its amazing beak, which was shaped like a huge orange-colored basin. The pelican looked down at me and sang out, "Oh, how I wish for a big fat fish. I am as hungry as I ever could be. A dish of fish is my only wish. How far are we from the sea?" "We are long way from the sea," I called back to him. "But there's a fishmonger in the village not far away." "A fish what?" "A fishmonger." "Now, what on earth would that be?" asked the pelican. "I have heard of a fish pie and a fish cake and a fish finger, but I have never heard of a fishmonger. Are these mongers good to eat?" The question baffled me a bit, so I said, "Who is your friend in the next window?" "She is a giraffe," the pelican answered. "Is she not wonderful? Her legs are on the ground floor and her head is looking out of the top window." As if all this wasn't enough, the window on the first floor was now flung wide open and out popped a monkey. The monkey stood on the window sill and did a jiggle little dance. He was so skinny he seemed to be made only out of furry bits of wire. But he danced wonderful well, and I clapped and cheered and did a little dance myself in return. "We are the window cleaners," sang out the monkey. "We will polish your glass till it's a shining like brass, and it sparkles like sun on the sea. We are quick and polite. We will come day or night. The giraffe and the pelly and me. We are a fabulous crew. We know just what to do. And we never stop work to drink a tea. All your windows will glow when we give them a go. The giraffe and the pelly and me. We use water and soap, plus some kindness and hope. But we never use ladders, not we. Who needs ladders at all when you're 30 feet tall? Not giraffe and not pelly, not me." I stood there and turtled. Then I heard the giraffe saying to the pelican in the next window, "Pelly, my dear, be so good as to fly down and bring that small person up here to talk to us." At once, the pelican spread his huge white wings and flew down on the road beside me. "Hop in," he said, opening his enormous beak. I started at the great orange peak and pecked away. Go on, the monkey shouted from up in his window. The pelly isn't going to swallow you. Climb in. I said to the pelican, I will only get in if you promise not to shut your beak once I'm inside. You have nothing to fear, cried the pelican. And let me tell you why. I have a very special beak. A special beak have I. You never see a beak so fine. I don't care where you go. There's magic in this beak of mine. Hop in and don't say no. I will not hop in, I said, unless you swear on your honor you won't shut it once I'm inside. I don't like small dark places. When I have done what I am just about to do, said the pelican, I won't be able to shut it. You don't seem to understand how my beak works. Show me, I said. Watch this, cried the pelican. I watched in amazement as the top half of the pelican brakes began to slide smoothly backwards into his head until the whole thing was almost out of sight. Giraffe, pelican, pelicans? Wow. It is awesome to read books. Even better in English. I just get better from reading. But some pronunciations are really hard for me because I never heard them in English. I just think it is pelicans. I have to Google the spelling from these animals when I'm finished with the story. It bends and goes down inside the back of my neck, cried the pelican. Is that not sensible? Is it not magical? It's unbelievable, I said. It's exactly like those metal tape measures my father's got at home. When it's out, it's straight. When you slide it back in, it bends and disappears. Preciously, said the pelican, you see the top half is of no use to me unless I'm chewing fish. The bottom half is what counts, my lad. The bottom half of this glorious beak of mine is the bucket in which we carry our window cleaning water. So if I didn't slide the top half away, I standing around all day long holding it up. So I slide it away for the rest of the day. Even so, I'm still able to speak. And wherever I've flown, it has always been known as a pelican's patented peak. If I want to eat fish, that's my favorite dish, all I do is I give it a tweak. In the blink of an eye, out it pops, and they cry. It's the pelican's patented beak. Stop showing off down there, shouted the monkey from the upstairs window. Hurry up and bring that small person up to us. The giraffe is waiting. I climbed into the big orange peak, and with a swoosh of wings, the pelican carried me back to his perch on the windowsill. The giraffe looked out of her window at me and said, How do you do? What is your name? Billy, I told her. Well, Billy, she said, we need your help, and we need it fast. We must have some windows to clean. We spent every penny we had on buying this house, and we got to earn some more money quickly. The pelly is starving. The monkey is famished, and I am perishing with hunger. The pelly needs fish, the monkey needs nuts, and I am even more difficult to feed. I am a generous giraffe, and a generous giraffe cannot eat anything except the pink and purple flowers of the tinkle tinkle tree. But those, as I am sure you know, are hard to find and expensive to buy. The pellicene cried out, "Right now I am so hungry I could eat a stale sardine." Has anyone seen a stale sardine or a bucket of rotten cod? I'd eat the lot upon the spot. I'm such a hungry bot. Every time the pelican spoke, the beak I was standing in jiggled madly up and down, and the more excited he got, the more it jiggled. The monkey said, "What Pelly's really crazy about is salmon." "Yes, yes," cried the pelican, "salmon. Oh, glorious salmon. I dreamed about it all day long, but I never get in." "And I dream about walnuts," shouted the monkey. "A walnut fresh from the tree is scrumptious, scrumptious, so flavory, savory, so sweet to eat that it makes me all wobbly just thinking about it." At exactly that morning, a huge white Rolls-Royce pulled up right below us, and a chauffeur in a blue and golden uniform got out. He was carrying an envelope in our gloved hand. "Good heavens," I whispered. "That's Duke of Hampshire's car." "Who is he?" asked the giraffe. "He's the richest man in England," I said. The chauffeur knocked on the door of the Grubber. He looked up and saw us. He saw the giraffe, the pelly, the monkey, and me all staring down at him from above. But not a muscle moved in his face, not an eyebrow was raised. The chauffeurs of very rich men are never surprised by anything they see. The chauffeur said, "His Grace, the Duke of Hampshire, has instructed me to deliver this envelope to the Leatherless Window Cleaning Company." "That's us," cried the monkey. The giraffe said, "Be so good as to open the envelope and read us the letter." The chauffeur unfolded the letter and began to read. "Dear sirs, I saw your notice as I drove by this morning. I have been looking for a decent window cleaner for the last 50 years, but I never had found one yet. My house has 677 windows in it, not counting the greenhouse. And all of them are filthy. Kindly come and see me as soon as possible. Yours truly, Hampshire." That, added the chauffeur in a voice filled with awe and respect, was written by His Grace the Duke of Hampshire and his own hand. The giraffe said to the chauffeur, "Please tell His Grace the Duke that we will be with him as soon as possible." The chauffeur touched his cap and got back into the Rolls-Royce. "Whoop!" shouted the monkey. "Fantastic!" cried the pellicene. "That must be the best window cleaning job in the world." "Billy," said the giraffe, "what is the house called and how do we get there?" "It is called Hampshire House," I said. "It's just over the hill. I show you the way." "We are off," cried the monkey. "We are off to see the Duke." The giraffe stooped low and went out through the tall door. The monkey jumped off the window on the giraffe's back. The pellicene, with me in his beak hanging on for dear life, flew across and perched on the very top of the giraffe's head, and away we went. It wasn't long before we came to the gates of Hampshire's house, and as the giraffe moved slowly up the great wide driveway, we all began to feel just a little bit nervous. "What's he like, this Duke?" the giraffe asked me. "I don't know," I said, "but he's very, very famous and very, very rich. People say he has 25 gardeners just to look after his flower beds." Soon, the huge house itself came into the view, And what a house it was! It was like a palace. It was bigger than a palace. "Just look at these windows," cried the monkey. "They keep us going forever." Then suddenly we heard a man's voice a short distance away the right. "I want those big black ones at the top of the tree," the man was shouting. "Get me those great big black ones." We peered round the bushes and saw an oldish man with an immense white mustache standing under a tall cherry tree and pointing his walking stick in the air. There was a ladder against the tree, and another man who was probably a gardener was up to the ladder. "Get me those great big black juice ones right at the very top," the old man was shouting. "I can't reach them, Your Grace," the gardener called back. "The ladder isn't long enough." "Damnation," shouted the Duke. "I was looking forward to eating those big ones." "Here we go," the pelican whispered to me, and with a swish and a swoop, he carried me up to the very top of the cherry tree, and there he perched. "Pick them, Billy," he whispered. "Pick them quickly and put them in my beak." The gardener got such a shock he fell off the ladder. Down below, as the Duke was shouting, "My gun! My gun! Some damnable monster of a bird is stealing my best cherries. Be off with you, sir. Go away. Those are my cherries, not yours. I'll have you shot for this, sir. Where is my gun?" "Hurry up, Billy," whispered the pelican. "Hurry!" "My gun," the Duke was shouting to the gardener. "Get me my gun, you idiot. I have to living bird for breakfast, you see." "I've picked them all," I whispered to the pelican. At once, the pelly flew down and landed right beside the furious figure of the Duke of Hampshire, who was prancing about and waving his stick in the air. "Your cherries, Your Grace," I said, as I leaned over the edge of the pelican's break and offered a handful to the Duke. The Duke was staggered. He reeled back and his eyes popped nearly out of their sockets. "Great Scott," he gasped. "Good Lord, what are you?" And now the giraffe with the monkey dancing about on her back emerged suddenly from the bushes. The Duke started at them. He looked as thought he was about to have fit. "Who are these creatures?" he bellowed. "As the whole world gone completely dirty?" "We are the window cleaners," sang out the monkey. "We will polish your glass till it's shining like brass, and it sparkles like sun on the sea. We will work for your grace till we're blue in the face, the giraffe and the pelly and me." "You asked us to come and see you," the giraffe said. The truth was at last beginning to dawn on the Duke. He put a cherry into his mouth and chewed it slowly. Then he spat out the stone. "I like the way you picked these cherries for me," he said. "Could you also pick my apples in the autumn?" We could, of course we could," we all shouted. "And who are you?" the Duke said, pointing a stick to me. "He is our business manager," the giraffe said. "His name is Billy. We go nowhere without him." "Very, very well," the Duke muttered. "Come along with me and let us see if you're any good at cleaning windows." I climbed out of the pelican's beak, and the kindly old Duke took me by the hand as we all walked towards the house. When we got there, the Duke said, "What happens next?" "It is all very simple, Your Grace," the giraffe replied. "I am the ladder, the pelly is the bucket, and the monkey is the cleaner. Watch us go." With that famous window cleaning gang sprang into action. The monkey jumped down from the giraffe's back and turned on the garden tap. The pelican held his great beak under the tap until it was full of water. Then, with a wonderful springly leap, the monkey leaped up on again and to the giraffe's back. From there, he scrambled as easily as if he were climbed a tree, up the long, long neck of the giraffe, until he stood balancing on the very top of her head. The pelican remained standing on the ground beside us, looking up the giraffe. "We will do the top floor first," said the giraffe. "Bring the water up, please." The duck called out, "Don't worry about the 2 top floors. You can't reach them anyway." "Who says we can't reach them?" the giraffe called back. "I do," the duck said firmly, "and I'm not having any of your risking your silly necks around here. If you wish to be friends with the giraffe, never say anything bad about this neck. Its neck, it's the proudest possession." "What's wrong with my neck?" snapped the giraffe. "Don't argue with me, you foolish creature," cried the duke. "If you can't reach it, you can't reach it, and that's the end of it. Now get on with your work." "Your Grace," the giraffe said, giving the duke a small superior smile, "there are no windows in the world I cannot reach with the magical neck of mine." The monkey, who was dancing about most dangerously on the top of the giraffe's head, cried out, "Show him, Giraffe. Go on and show him what you can do with your magical neck." The next moment, the giraffe neck, which heaven knows is long enough, already began to grow longer and longer and longer and higher and higher, until at least the giraffe's head with the monkey on the top of it was level with the windows of the top floor. The giraffe looked down from here, great height, and said to the duke, "How's that?" The duke was speechless. So was I. It was the most magical thing I had ever seen, more magical even than the Palestine patent break. Up above us, the giraffe was beginning to sing a little song, but she sang so softly I could hardly catch the words. I think it went something like this: "My neck can stretch terrible high, much higher than eagles can fly. If I venture to show just how high it would go, you would lose sight of my head in the sky." The pelican, with his huge beak full of water, flew up and perched it on the top floor windows near the monkey, and now the great window cleaning business really began. The speed with which the team worked was astonishing. As soon one window was done, the giraffe moved the monkey over to the next one, and the pelican followed. When all the 4th floor windows on that side of the house were finished, the giraffe simply drew in her magical neck until the monkey was level with the 3rd floor windows, and off they went again. "Amazing," cried the duke. "Astonishing, remarkable, incredible. I haven't seen out of any of my windows for 40 years. Now I shall be able to sit indoors and enjoy the view." Suddenly, I saw all 3 of the window cleaners stop dead in their tracks. They seemed to freeze against the wall of the house. None of them moved. "What happened to them?" the duke asked me. "What's gone wrong?" "I don't know," I answered. Then the giraffe, with the monkey on her head, tiptoed very gingerly away from the house and came towards us. The pelican flew with them. The giraffe came up very close to the duke and whispered, "Your Grace, there is a man in one of the bedrooms on the 3rd floor. He is opening all the drawers and taking things out. He's got a pistol." The duke jumped about a foot in the air. "Which room?" he snapped. "Show me at once." "It's the one on the third floor, where the windows are wide open," the giraffe whispered. "By gad," cried the Duke, "that's the Duchess' bedroom. He's after her jewels. Call the police. Bring up the cannon. Charge with the light barrage." But even as he spoke, the pelican was flying up into the air. As he flew, he turned himself upside down and tipped the window-cleaning water out of his beak. Then I saw the top half of the marvelous patent beak sliding out of his head, ready for action. "What that crazy bird up to?" cried the Duke. "Wait and see," shouted the monkey. "Hold your breath, old man. Hold your nose and hold your horses and watch the pelly go." Like a bullet, the pelican flew in through the open window, and 5 seconds later, out he came again, with his great orange beak firmly closed. He landed on the lawn beside the Duke. A tremendous banging noise was coming from inside the pelican's beak. It sounded as though someone was using a sledgehammer against it from the inside. "He's got him," cried the monkey. "Pelly's got the burglar in his beak." "Well done, sir," shouted the Duke, hopping about with excitement. Suddenly, he pulled the handle off his walking stick. Upwards and out of the hollow inside of the stick itself, he drew a long, thin, sharp, shining sword. "I run him through," he shouted, fluttering the sword like a fencer. "Open up, pelican. Let me get at him. I will run the bounder through before he knows what happened to him. I speak him like a pat of butter. I feed his gizzard to my foxhounds." But the pelican did not open his beak. He kept it firmly closed and shook his head at the Duke. The giraffe shouted, "The burglar is armed with a pistol, Your Grace. If Pelly lets him out now, he shot us all. He can be armed with a machine gun, for all I care." Below the Duke, his massive mustache bristlingly like brushwood. "I'll handle the blighter. Open up, sir. Open up." Suddenly, there was an ear-splitting bang, and the pelican leaped 20 feet into the air. So did the Duke. "Watch out," the Duke shouted, taking 10 rapid pieces backwards. "He's trying to shoot his way out and pointing his sword at the pelican. He bellowed, "Keep at the beak closed, sir. Don't you dare let him out. He will murder us all." "Shake him up, Pelly," cried the giraffe. "Rattle his bones. Teach him not to do it again." The pelican shook his head so fast from side to side that the beak became a blur, and the man inside must have felt he was being scrambled like eggs. "Well done, Pelly," cried the giraffe. "You are doing a great job. Keep on shaking him so he doesn't fire the pistol again." At this point, a lady with an enormous chest and flaming orange hair came flying out of the house screaming, "My jewels! Somebody stole my jewels! My diamond necklace, my diamond bracelet, my diamond earrings, my diamond rings. They had a lot. My room have been ransacked." And then the massive female, who 55 years age, had been a world-famous opera singer, and suddenly burst into the song. "My dimensions are over the ocean. My dimensions are over the sea. My diamonds are over the ocean. My diamonds are over the sea. My diamonds were pinched from my bedroom. Oh, bring back my diamonds to me." We were so bowled over by the power of the lady's lungs that all of us, excepting the pelican, who had to keep his beak closed, joined the chorus. Bring back, oh bring back my diamonds to me. Bring back, oh bring back my diamonds to me. Calm yourself, Henrietta, said the Duke. He pointed to the pelican and said, this clever bird, this brilliant buckler-catching creator has saved the day, the boundary in his beak. The Duchess started at the pelican. The pelican stared back at the Duchess and gave her a wink. If he's in there, cried the Duchess, why don't you let him out? Then you can run him through with a famous word of yours. I want my diamonds. Open your back, Piet. No, 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 shouted the Duke. He's got a pistol. He will murder us all. Someone must have called the police because suddenly no less than 4 squad cars coming racing towards within the sirens screaming. Within seconds we were surrounded by 6 policemen and the Duke was shouting to them. The villain you are after is inside the beak of the bird. Stand by the column him. And the pelican, he said, get ready to open up. Are you ready? Go. Open her up. The pelican opened his giant beak, and immediately the policeman pounced upon the bugler who was crouching inside. They snatched his pistol away from him and dragged him out and put handcuffs on his wrists. George Scott, shouted the chief of police. It's a cobra himself. The who? The what? Everyone asked. Who is the cobra? The cobra is the cleverest and most dangerous cat burglar in the world, said the chief of police. He must have climbed up the drain pipe. The cobra can climb up anything. My diamonds, screamed the Duchess. I want my diamonds. Where are my diamonds? Here they are, cried the chief of police, fishing handfuls of jewelry from the bugler's pockets. The Duchess was so overcome with relief that she fell to the ground in a faint. When the police had taken away the fearsome bugler known as a cobra, and the fainting Duchess had been carried into the house by her servants, the old Duke stood on the lawn with the giraffe, the pelican, the monkey, and me. Look, cried the monkey, that rotten bugler's bullet has made a hole in poor Pelly's beak. That's done it, said the pelican. No, I won't be any use for holding water when we clean the windows. Don't you worry about that, my dear Pelly, said the Duke, painting him on the peak. My chauffeur will soon put a badge over it the same way he mends the tires on the rolls. Right now, we have far more important things to talk about than a little hole in a beak. We stood there waiting to see what the Duke was going to say next. Now, listen to me, all of you, he said. Those diamonds were worth millions, millions and millions, and you have saved them. The monkey nodded, the giraffe smiled, the palace blushed. No reward is too great for you, the Duke wanted on. I am therefore going to make you an offer, which I hope will give you a pleasure. I hereby invited the giraffe and the pelican and the monkey to live on my estate for the rest of their lives. I shall give you my best and largest harban as your private house. Central heating, showers, a kitchen, and anything else you desire for your comfort will be installed. In return, you will keep my own windows clean and pick my cherries and my apples. If the pelican is willing, perhaps he will also give me a ride in his beak now and again. A pleasure, your grace, cried the pelican. Would you like a ride now? Later, said the Duke. I'll have one after tea. At this point, the giraffe gave a nervous little cough and looked up to the sky. "Is there a problem?" asked the Duke. "If there is, do please let me hear it." "I don't like the sound ungrateful of pushy," murmured the giraffe. "But we do have a very pressing problem. We are absolutely famished. We haven't eaten for days." "My dear giraffe," cried the Duke, "how very thoughtless of me. Food is no problem around here." "I'm afraid it's not quite as easy as all that," said the giraffe. "You see myself, I happen to be." "Don't tell me," cried the Duke. "I know it already. I'm an expert of animals of Africa. The moment I saw you, I knew you were no ordinary giraffe. You are the generous variety, you are not?" "You're absolutely right, Your Grace," said the giraffe. "But the trouble with us is that we only eat." "You don't have to tell me that either," cried the Duke. "I know perfectly well a generous giraffe can eat only one kind of food. Am I not right in thinking that the pink and purple flowers of the tinkle twinkle tree are your only diet?" "Yes," sighed the giraffe, "and that's been my problem ever since I arrived on the shores." "That's no problem at all here at Hampshire House," said the Duke. "Look over there, my dear giraffe, and you will see the only plantation of tinkle tinkle trees in the entire country." The giraffe looked. She gave a gasp of astonishment, and at first she was so overwhelmed she couldn't even speak. Great tears of joy began to run down her cheeks. "Help yourself," said the Duke. "Eat all you want." "Oh, my sainted souls," gasped the giraffe. "Oh, my naked neck. I can't believe what I'm seeing." The next moment she was galloping full speed across the lawns and whining with excitement, and the last while she saw of her, she was burying her head in the beautiful pink and purple flowers that blossomed on the top of the trees all around her. "As for the monkey," the Duke went on, "I think he also will be pleasured with what I have to offer. All over my estate there are thousands of giant nut trees." "Nuts!" cried the monkey. "What kind of nuts?" "Walnuts, of course," said the Duke. "Walnuts!" screamed the monkey. "Not walnuts? You don't really mean walnuts? You are pulling my leg. You are joking. You can't be serious. It must have heard wrong." "There's a walnut tree right over there," said the Duke and pointed. The monkey took off like an arrow, and a few seconds later he was high up in the branches of the walnut tree, cracking the nuts and guzzling what was inside. "That leaves only the pelly," said the Duke. "Yes," said the pelican nervously. "But I'm afraid that what I eat does not grow on trees. I only eat fish. Would it be too much trouble? I wonder if I were to ask for a reasonable fresh piece of haddock or cod every day." "Haddock or cod?" shouted the Duke, spitting out the words as the thought they might have been tasted in his mouth. "Cast your eyes, my dear Pelly, over there to the south." The pelican looked across the vast rolling estate, and in the distance he saw a great river. "This is the River Hemp," cried the Duke, "the finest salmon river on the whole European." "Salmon!" screeched the pelican. "Not salmon, you don't really mean salmon." "It's full of salmon," the Duke said, "and I own it. You can help yourself." Before he had finished speaking, the pelican was in the air. The Duke and I watched him as he flew full speed towards the river. We saw him circle over the water. Then he did and disappeared. A few moments later he was in the air again, and he had a giant salmon in his beak. I stood alone with the Duke on the lawn beside his great house. "Well, Billy," he said, "I'm glad they all are happy. But what about you, my lad? I am wondering if you happen to have just one extra special little wish, all for yourself. If you had, I would love to tell me about it." There was a sudden tingling in my toes. It felt as though something tremendous might be going to happen to me in any moment. "Yes," I murmured nervously, "I do have an extra special little wish." "And what might that be?" said the Duke in a kindly voice. "There is an old wooden house near where I live," I said. "It's called the Grubber, and long ago it used to be a sweet shop. I have wished and wished that one day somebody might come along and make it into our marvelous new sweet shop all over again." "Somebody," cried the Duke. "What do you mean, somebody?" "You and I will do that. We'll do it together. We make it into the most wonderful sweet shop in the world, and you, my boy, will own it." Whenever the old Duke got excited, his enormous mustache started to bristle and jump about. Right now, they were jumping up and down so much it looked as though he had scribble on his face. "By God, sir," he cried, waving his stick, "and shall buy the place today. Then we get to work and have the whole thing ready. You just wait and see what sort of sweet shop we are going to make out of it." It was amazing how quickly things began to happen after that. There was no problem about buying the house because it owned by the giraffe and the pelly and the monkey, and they instead upon giving it to the Duke for nothing. Then builders and carpenters moved in and rebuilt the whole of the inside so that once again it had 3 floors. On all these floors, they put together rows and tall shelves, and there were ladders to climb up to the highest shelves and baskets to carry what you bought. Then the sweets and chocks and toffees and fudges and nougats began pouring in to fill the shelves. They came by airplane from every country in the world, the most wild, wondrous thing you could ever imagine. There were gummy twizzles and fizzlewinkles from China, fruit flowers and spitzlers from Africa, tummy ticklers and go-banglers from the Fiji Islands, and lipstickers and plush nuggets from the land of the midnight sun. For 2 whole weeks, the flood of boxes and sacks continued to arrive. I could no longer keep track of all the countries they came from, but you can bet your life that as unpacked each new batch, I sampled it carefully. I can remember especially the giant wonder goods from Australia, everyone with a huge ripe red strawberry hidden inside its crispy chocolate crust, and the electric fizzle looker that made every hair on your head stand straight up on and so on as you popped into your mouth. And there were nishabbers and gum glotters and bubble blubbers and sherbet slappers and tongue riggers, and as well all this, there was a whole lot of splendid stuff from the great Wonka factory itself. For example, the famous Willy Wonka rainbow drugs. Suck them and you can spit them 7 different colors. And his stick yaw for talkative parents, and his mint jujubes that will give the boy next door green teas for a month. On the grand opening day, I decided to allow all of my customers to help themselves for free, and the place was crowded with children who could hardly move. The television cameras and the newspapers reporters were all there, and the old Duke himself stood outside in the road with my friends the giraffe and the pelly and the monkey, watching the marvelous scene. I came out of the shop to join them for a few moments and brought each of them a bag of extra special sweets and presents. To the Duke, Because the weather was a little chilly, I gave some scarlet squatter droppers that had been sent from the Iceland. The label said that they were guaranteed to make the person who sucked them as warm as toast, even if he were standing stark naked on the North Pole in the middle winter. The moment the Duke popped on into his mouth, thick smoke came gushing out of the old boy's nostrils in such quantities that I thought his mustaches were going up in flames. "Terrific," he cried, hopping about. "Tremendous stuff. I take a case of them home with me." To the giraffe, I gave a bag of glumptious Glubber. The Glubber is an especially delicious sweet that is made somewhere near Mecca, and the moment you bite into it, all perfumed juices of Arabia goes squirting down your gullet and after the other. "It is wonderful," cried the giraffe, as a cascade of lovely liquid flavors poured all the way down her long, long throat. "It's even better than my favorite pink and purple flowers." To the pelican, I gave a big bag of pishlets. Pishlets, as you probably know, are bought by children who are unable to whistle a tune as they walk along the street, but long to do so. They had a splendid effect upon the pelican, for after he had put one of them into his beak and chewed it for a while, he suddenly started singing like a night-nine. This made him widely excited because pelicans are not singing birds. No pelican had ever been known to whistle a tune before. To the monkey, I gave a bag of devil's drenchers, those small fire-black sweets that one is not allowed to sell to children under 4 years old. When you have sucked at devil drenchers for a minute or so, you can set your breath alight and blow a huge column of fire 20 feet into the air. The Duke put a match to the monkey's breast and shouted, "Blow, monkey, blow!" A sheet of orange flame shot up as high as the roof of Grubber's house, and it was wonderful. "I've got to leave you now," I said. "I must go and look after my customers in the shop." "We must go too," said the giraffe. "We have 100 windows to clean before dark." I said goodbye to the Duke, and one by one I said goodbye to the 3 best friends I had ever had. Suddenly, we all became very quiet and melancholy, and the monkey looked as though he was about to cry as he sang me a little song of Firewall. "We have tears in our eyes as we have our goodbyes. We so loved being with you, we 3. So do please now and then come and see us again, the giraffe and the pelly and me. All you do is to look at a page in this book, because that's where we always will be. No book ever ends when it's full of friends. The giraffe, the pelly, and me." This was a book from Roald Dahl, The Giraffe and the Pelly and Me. On the backside, "My jewels, somebody stole my jewels." This was a very light, entertaining story I read for you. It is now one book more in the collection from Roald Dahl. And if you are interested in even more books, feel free to follow my YouTube channel, like, subscribe, and comment, because here I have a lot more books out of his collection I will read for you in ASMR style. And even though I have also a lot of different ASMR clips, like mukbang and food, also just where we go on the adventure of sound, and I have even guests sometimes from here and there at my ASMR channel. So no matter where you are right now, I wish you a pleasant time. Thank you so much for listening, and enjoy your day, night, morning. whatever time right now. And I hope I see you very, very soon here again on my ASMR Katz YouTube channel.